So, I'm going to share with you the 5 ways that my career journey has shaped how I lead today. The number one thing is easy, that more work does not get more done. In those early days, I was up formulating late. I was up early to get orders processed. I was spending my time during the day for customer service. Making myself available meant I wasn't paying attention to myself, and that will lead to disasters. Now, today, I simply just evaluate things a little bit differently. If something solely relies on me, then I need to take a step back and I need to figure out what system is missing, or I need to really re engineer the project or the process. Number two, the systems reduce stress more than check marks on a checklist. Systems are so valuable to a business overall, but also to our well being and to our sanity. In the early days when I first got into the business, I came from a paralegal background. So I was really familiar with like research and documentation, but I wasn't familiar with what was required to run a business. So I sought out some mentors, and they were really valuable in providing me the framework to allow me to build some systems around, production setups and fulfillment flows and time-based frameworks to even make sure that all those things I needed to get done in my day and in my week, that I actually had enough time to get those done, else I was going to feel like I didn't accomplish anything by the end of the week. None of us want to feel like that. So now I know that when things feel overwhelming, when I feel like they're kind of beyond my control, alls I do is not work faster. I'm going to ask myself, what system is missing from this? And by taking that time to develop a system around the process, that not only is it going to reduce my stress, but it's also going to allow me to stop doing things repeatedly. And that ultimately is going to free up my time. So, number three is that customers don't want more information. They really want simpler decisions. Now, I didn't understand that when I first started formulating my products. We're talking about 15 years ago, when plastic free and zero waste really wasn't talked about like it is today. So in those early days, I knew that my products were going to require extra education. None of us, well, I shouldn't say none of us, but back then, people were not familiar with taking a concentrated bar and dissolving it at home, making things like hand wash and laundry, and having the opportunity to refill their own containers. We have traditionally just known to go to the store, pull something off a shelf, fill it in a cap, and or buy that pumper of hand wash, and we put it by our sink and it's good to go. So I knew that the education part would be really important so that the customer would be confident in the way that they used my products. But that kind of backfired a little bit because I feel like people were overwhelmed with the information. And so what I realized is that it's not that they want more information all the time, it's they want the confidence in using the product. So when somebody contacts me about a question about the product or how to use something, that's an indication to me that they really are looking for information, but that this is a friction point with the product. And that allows me the opportunity to get rid of that friction point, work on a solution, whether it be content in the listing or providing more video instruction, whatever it is that that person is asking for. That question is so valuable because it allows me to overcome that sticky point with the product. It's really great. Number four is that confidence grows from the decisions, not before that. And let me explain that a little bit, because when I first decided to go plastic free, all my products were sold as a liquid form. And I didn't know how I was going to sell a liquid product without a bottle. But I knew that I had to do that to be in alignment with myself if I was going to stay in business. So It took me years, it took me a lot of money and time and formulation to do that. But I didn't have the confidence going in. I just knew it was something that I needed to try in order to determine if this business was still right for me and whether I could keep moving forward. Now, I'm happy to say that I was able to, formulate these products into a solid concentrated form that allows the consumer to dissolve it at home. Therefore, I've eliminated the plastic bottles. I sell it now in a little cardboard packaging that can easily be recycled or composted at home. But that confidence came after I survived that reformulation. So a lot of times we're looking to be confident in our decision making, but it really is going to come later, and we just have to keep kind of moving forward with the faith that that is going to happen. Because really, waiting for certainty can typically be way more expensive than trying to correct the course. Um, number five, Number five, longevity is built in the daily small improvements. And we hear this in kind of a lot of industries where, small changes lead to big improvements. But it is true in business, and how we lead, whether we're leading a team or whether we're leading ourselves. The best example I can share is that back in 2020, I wrote a 200-page book uh, showing people how to go plastic free in every room of their house. And I knew that probably every 5 years or so, I would want to update that book. And in 2025, I started doing all the updates to it. And unfortunately, many of the brands and many of the products that I had given specific links to for the reader, I thought it would make it easy for them not to have to go and research all these brands and products. I had already vetted them. But what it turns out is that many of them were out of business by the time I did the updated book in 2025. So I realized I really had to shift the way that I was thinking about this education. And so what I did was I decided that I would teach them how to evaluate, not just give them the exact product or brand. So now they can go whenever they're out shopping or trying to replace something that they need, they can now have that decision making ability because it's now a skill that they've learned in order to make the best decision for themselves. And that really applies to leadership because I can also equally give that skill to the rest of my team. And also, it has instilled it in me that I can really, teach myself how to evaluate some things instead of kind of leaning on that information. So, um, for me in my industry, the the sustainability companies, they really have to be forward thinking, and they really rarely do they come through with one single breakthrough. So it's really about being consistent and being thoughtful in making those corrections as they come, but it really is about figuring out how to evaluate and having that skill to do it. So I hope that these have been helpful to you. And if you have any questions about what I went over, you can certainly reach me at Angie@tangieco.com. And thank you for listening about the 5 ways that have encouraged me to be a better leader and just really shaped the way that I lead today.